Bienvenidos and welcome to another episode of Average Jose's Sports Talk,
Sports talk.
episode 15.
Gross.
I
What's
know,
gross is that we should be on like
17 or 18.
19 or something.
Yeah, we should definitely be farther along. The holidays always mess stuff up, but oh well. Yeah, we got a lot for you guys today as the NFL wildcard weekend just happened, so a lot to talk about there, especially since the NFL has a lot of coaching changes going on. So the NFL in general is just a hot spot right now, which makes sense. It's postseason.
Hot cakes.
But at the same time, we're about halfway through the NBA season, and things are picking up as All-Star Weekend is just a month away. NHL, nothing crazy going on there, but they're all fighting for those top spots, so stuff to talk about there. And then we got some hot takes and pick'ems for you guys. But first, you already know we got to start with Immaculate Grid.
Immaculate Riz.
Is that what we're calling it now?
No, that's what kids are saying these days.
Oh yeah, cool. All right. So Immaculate Grid for today for football. The top three are Saints, Raiders, and then 3,000 plus yards passing season. And the left three are Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens.
I mean, for Ravens, we have Lamar Jackson. For the 3,000 passing
That's what I
yards,
was, yeah. Jack Lambert,
I feel like we can get this whole column done.
Ben
I feel like
Roethlisberger, you think?
I would assume he had at least one
He
in
had
his
he
many
had
years
to,
there.
yeah,
And then I assume Joe Burrow has,
for their Super Bowl run.
I want to say he has a 4,000 yard passing
Yeah,
season.
beautiful. Oh, yeah, 3,000 honestly is not too hard if you have a good program. All right. I don't know anything about the Raiders roster. I have no idea who's been traded from the
I don't
Raiders.
know about any of these. Like I was like, I'm kind of done.
All right, so that's Immaculate Grid.
I don't know anything about the Saints or Raiders. They seem like
Yeah,
the same team to me.
because the Saints had Drew Brees. Where did Drew Brees end up? Because I don't think he was always at the Saints. I feel like Drew Brees was on one of these other teams.
I don't think he was
Oh, his height though. Do you want to know his height?
5'10".
I don't know. I didn't see him. Chargers. He was on the Chargers at first, then the Saints.
That's right.
So he wasn't on one of these
weird.
teams, but
I didn't think it was one of these ones. No.
I have no idea any of this, dude. Alvin Kamara was drafted by the Saints, so he's been there this whole time.
I figured.
I have no idea, dude.
Give me love, give me love. Yeah.
Taysom Hill played at BYU. Fun fact, in case you guys were wondering. I know that doesn't have anything to do with
you
it.
to say one of the teams, and you said BYU.
I mean, it's interesting. Oh yeah, it looks like he was drafted by the Saints. I was trying to think of Saints players I know, bro.
And you came up with two in this whole time?
Give me more. I mean, you started looking stuff up too.
I don't need to look stuff up.
Okay, so who played on the Saints and the Ravens?
I take an L and I move on.
You just don't want to know these last ones?
Then look them up.
We don't have to look them up. If you don't want to know, then I'm not going to look them up.
Look them up.
Because you want to know.
You're not even looking them up. You're looking up players you already know.
Because I'm trying to actually do the work and not just look up the easy answers. Mark Ingram played for the Ravens and Saints? Oh, crap. It says Mark Ingram the second, so I'm going to go with this one. Heck yeah. I didn't know he was on both those teams.
62%.
Because it's probably the only player that people know.
No, it'd be 100 if that was the case.
Yeah, but who else are they doing? Keenan Lewis.
Never heard of him.
Fairly recent player. 2009 to 2015. Let's see. Trey Hendrickson. Oh, I forgot about him.
I've heard that name.
I don't know if this is him. Oh yeah, this is him. He was selected third round in 2017 by the Saints. He's a defensive end for the Bengals now.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, what? All right, so I want to see how you think
Tom
we.
Brady.
How do you think we pronounce this name?
I'm not even gonna try.
So it's TJ Hushmanzadeh. Hushmanzadeh. It's a dope name. I mean, it's super cool. It popped up on my phone though, and I was like, "Whoa!" Never heard of him. I feel like I would remember if I heard that one. All right. This dude was drafted by the Raiders and has played for the Colts and Steelers. So let's remember this name just in case. Darius Hayward Bay. And last, Raiders and Ravens. We have Marcus
Lamar Jackson.
Peters. No, not yet. One day. Woo!
I
268
knew we would do it.
score. Marcus Peters played a season for the Raiders and then 3 for the Ravens. Those are the worst, where it's like, oh yeah, dude, they played like half a season with this team, so it counts. And you're just like,
They
why
walked through
would
the facility one day.
they've been to a Raiders game? Just like, why would I know this? All right, for
Five
the
thousand assists.
that's
That's
insane.
disgusting.
For the NBA, on the top we have Nuggets, Nets, 5,000 career assists, and on the left we have Suns, Spurs, and Trailblazers. Nets and Suns, we could probably do Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, I
Do you
knew
think,
that
do you think
one.
Steve Nash had 5,000 career assists?
Probably, dude. He's an assister.
Yeah, he did. I hate that you used that word. Um,
A sister? That's like
Spurs.
two different words.
I know it's
A
it.
sister.
Spurs. I don't know if like Tony Parker, but I feel like Tony Parker would be a good option. Okay, 88% said Tony Parker, and then Trailblazers.
This is your team, man.
I know. I don't know if Clyde Drexler did, but that's like the only like big player we've had. Okay, Clyde did. Cool. Clyde Drexler, 16%. Um, ooh, these are tough. Who? What do you think? Who do you think these are?
Probably Blake Tyson.
I think I'm gonna go Walter Davis.
Not Blake Tyson.
No.
You don't think that?
So
I think you're
Walter
missing out.
Davis did 4 seasons on the Nuggets and then 11 on the Suns.
Are you gonna do Blake
Um,
Tyson for these ones?
I could look it up. How about that? Ah,
That would have been
shoot,
insane.
he's not a player.
That'd have been crazy if it was.
Antonio McDyess played 6 seasons for the Nuggets and 2 with the Spurs.
Big Giannis.
And then whoa, this is a cool name. Kiki
Kiki,
Van de
you love
Wege
me.
played 4 seasons for the Nuggets and 5 for the Trailblazers.
Dude,
And
it's our
then,
teams.
oh yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge went to the Nets from the Trailblazers.
I've
Forgot that he
heard of
went to
that
the
name.
Nets. Yeah, I really liked him when he was on the Trailblazers. I forgot he went to the Nets.
I don't know anything about basketball, chat.
LaMarcus Aldridge also played for the Spurs and the Nets.
I don't think you can do
You
two.
can't do it twice though.
Bro moved around.
Let's see. What are these other players? Richard Jefferson.
Dude, you're forgetting about AD.
AD what?
I don't know what the initials stand for.
a Marcus Durant.
Anthony Davis.
Oh, I didn't know if you were talking about a real player or not. He was on the Pelicans. I was like, what's he talking about? I totally forgot that AD is an actual player. That's so funny. Yeah, no, he played on the Pelicans and then went to the Lakers. So
I didn't actually know what teams he played for. Spurs just
hey,
felt
but you
like a
knew
team that he
you knew
could
a
have.
player. You knew a player, and I'm proud.
He's one of
That's
the popular ones. I know popular players.
all right. So that was Immaculate Grid. As you can tell, we're just a bunch of casuals and don't really know anything about sports. So why would you listen to us? Because
I
we
do.
represent the average Jose. Did the plug there.
That's the name of
Anyways,
the
there we
podcast.
go. Moving on to some team takes.
Team takes.
So the Broncos and the Bears are done for the season. Believe it or not, they didn't make it to the playoffs.
What?
It's really close, really close.
I thought that
Um,
was going to be a Super Bowl for sure.
terrible
If
Super
they
Bowl.
played in the Super Bowl,
Terrible
we
Super
would
Bowl.
have to get tickets.
Oh,
We would
easily.
have to finance it, get loans, whatever it took, but we would have to go to a Denver
Broncos Bears.
Chicago Super Bowl. That's
Gosh,
crazy. I hope that happens
it's
actually.
so
Now that I
possible
say it,
too. We'll see. I mean,
next season,
With the Broncos rebuilding, I don't know. But
hopefully you get
since
Caleb
we don't have
Williams.
those teams, thanks. We don't have those teams, and college football's over. We gotta talk about some other stuff for team takes.
You're
So, Denver Nuggets and Portland Trailblazers. It's our two favorite teams, both of us.
well, one of them is my favorite team.
Talk about the Nuggets. I know you. Did you watch the whole Sixers game?
I watched the Sixers game. It was such a weird game. So they lost, but it was such a back and forth game. They both had insane, like, I want to say the Nuggets was like a 13-2 run or something, and then the 76ers went on like a 16-2 run or something. Like they both had insane outmatched runs at certain points in the game. I want to say it was Murray going into the half, shot a nice fadeaway three with two defenders in his face, tied it up. So it was pretty much a brand new game the second half. I don't need, like, I was watching, I was like, I could not tell you what is going on. The defense doesn't seem insane from the 76ers, but like, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know if they sold. I don't know if it was refs. I watched the whole thing and I could not tell you
Well,
what happened.
the Sixers have been having a pretty good season. I mean, they're 26-13 and third in the East.
Yeah, but they
Uh,
weren't, like I said, they weren't doing anything insane in
yeah,
the game. Like I was like, this looks like basic basketball. Nuggets just can't do anything, and 76ers are just in the right spot. So
those are stat. Oh my! Joel Embiid dropped 41.
he had a game, yeah. But like it was just him. Like watching the
Yeah,
whole time, I was like, they should have about 41 points total. Like I don't know
yeah.
what else is happening.
Well, yeah, you had him, and then you had Tobias Harris 24, Tyrese Maxey 25, and then everyone else was like 11, 8, 7, and 2.
You see Jokic's rebounds.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Especially fighting
Um,
against Embiid too. What's crazy
there was a
is
stat line that it was like 11 offensive rebounds, like starting the third or like going into half or something. So most of those are offensive rebounds. He would be right under the hoop. They would get a terrible shot, and he would just sit there catching it, throwing it back up, catching it, throwing it back up, while like three defenders are just laying on top
what's
of them.
insane is Embiid was 3 rebounds away from a triple double,
That's disgusting.
and Jokic just robbed him of that with 19 rebounds.
I
Oh
thought
my
Jokic was
gosh,
going to get a triple double, but he didn't do
his
anything for
assists were pretty
assists.
low. Yeah, which is surprising because if you look at these past 4 games, his assists are typically, I mean, 6, 14, and 9. So
Yeah.
he's a really good passer. I mean, it's one of the things he's known for. But yeah, Nuggets are holding steady at third in the West, 28-14. Um, they just got to be able to beat these kind of top 3 teams, and you
Yeah,
know,
that's why I was like, they could make another playoff run, but they have to start winning in these situations where it's tight
yeah.
and just
And I mean, it's still middle of the season, and Nuggets are definitely a performing team. So when it comes to crunch time, I feel like they'll lock in and make the run they need to. There's
Yeah,
no
I'm
need
not too
to.
worried
They're
now, like
keeping
you
steady
said.
with the West, so there's no need to be shutting out every team.
They're 28 and 14. I mean, that's not great, but it's also not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. So
And
far
like you
behind.
said, they're crunch time, so
Yeah, it's the standings in the West. We'll get to this later too, and we can talk more about it later. But I mean, the Thunder are 27 and 13 at second, and the Timberwolves are 29 and 11 at first. So they're legit a couple games behind.
yeah,
It's no big deal.
it's no big deal because it's snowing.
Talking about snow, Portland Trailblazers beat the Nets. Hang on, I'll get there. You'll see the connection. They beat the Nets 105 to 103. I think it was last night. Um, but who was it? Shoot, one of their like second string players couldn't make it to the game because his whole neighborhood was iced over and he couldn't get out of his neighborhood. So they sent people to try and pick him up, but the roads were so icy and bad they couldn't even get into his neighborhood. So he missed the entire game because he couldn't get out of his house.
That sucks for him,
Unless he
actually.
like walked like a few blocks to get to a road someone could pick him up at, but it was so cold that like he would have died before he got there, and they're not going to make him walk. Um, so yeah, that was crazy. But
It is, yeah,
the Blazers did win. They won
barely.
on a last second shot by Anthony Simmons, I believe. He hit that with zero point 0.3 seconds left on the clock
You
to
told me
put them
point
up.
two.
No, it was a point two. Maybe it was a three for 0.2 seconds. I don't remember. But um
You told me it was a three for with point 0.2 seconds
okay,
left.
that must have been three. So yeah. But I mean if you look at our starting five, we have so over the past four games, uh Kamara played against the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Suns, got benched against the Nets.
She was
Jeremy
2-2 against the Suns.
yeah. Jeremy Grant played against the Thunder and Timberwolves, but was in concussion protocol against the Suns, but then came back for the Nets.
What a 30-point game.
They knocked some sense into him. Duop Reith has played all four games. Scoot Henderson played Thunder, Timberwolves, Suns, and then got benched against the Nets
I don't know how he got benched in that game.
after a 33-9-7 game against the Suns. Yeah,
Yeah, like brought a great game, and they're like, nah,
yeah, I don't know.
trying to get
Um,
some good draft
Anthony
capital.
Simmons has played all four, and then Jabari Walker came in against the Suns for Jeremy Grant's concussion protocol, and then played against the Nets for I'm assuming Kamara's benched game, but 4 points and 6 rebounds. And then Malcolm Brogdon also came in for the Nets for Scoot Henderson's bench game. 16,
He
6,
had a
and 5.
game.
Pretty good for coming off the bench like that. Um, the Trailblazers are currently 11 and 29. We were 14th in the West,
They're
and
holding.
a few days ago we lost to the Thunder, 139-77.
I forgot that was you.
Which is one of it's like I think it's like third biggest blowout or second biggest blowout, and it wasn't the biggest blowout in NBA. It was the biggest deficit going into like the third or
The
fourth
fourth.
quarter. Fourth quarter, it's like a 60-point deficit going into the fourth. So the fact that
When you told me that,
it
I
didn't get
completely
the fact that
spaced that
it
it was
didn't
the
get
Trailblazers.
the fact that it didn't get higher than 60 by the end of the game is cool. The fact that it didn't get lower than 60 by the end of the game sucks. So it's just a nice middle where it's like at least it wasn't more than 60 points. 62 to be precise. Um, but I mean, if you look at this schedule, played the Thunder, who are second in the West, lost badly. The Timberwolves, who are first in the West, lost badly, and then the Suns, who are I don't think they're doing too bad this season.
Oh, dead last. Shoot.
Who are eighth in the West.
Oh.
But we beat the Nets, who let's look at the Nets standing. The Nets are currently 11th, so better
So
than
there's a
us.
pattern there. As it gets worse, you guys can almost beat them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's been rough for the Trailblazers. Losing Damian Lillard took a bigger hit than um, we would have thought possible. But
No, I thought it possible when he was
halfway through
scoring
the
like
season,
60 a game.
halfway through the season. So if we just get 40 wins, if we win out the rest of the season, we have a good chance at making the playoffs.
That's
Oh,
insane.
the Spurs are dead last in the West, so we're not there yet. But if you look at our next games, play the Pacers tomorrow, the Lakers, the Thunder, couple decent games. And then we go 76ers, Bucks, Nuggets, back to back. Couple easy games,
I'm putting the bank on the Pacers.
and then Timberwolves, Nuggets. Someone just keeps giving us the worst. And then Timberwolves, Thunder. Like it's always just back to back of like top teams for some reason. But
You should put the bank on the Pacers
that's true. We
because
might
then
actually
the
win that.
Trailblazers will win.
That's true. Oh goodness, yes, it is a tough time to be a Trailblazers fan, but we'll get there eventually, guys. Oh goodness.
No one would have thought. Yeah, when he was scoring 60 a game, who would have thought that you wouldn't win much?
Yeah, it's a bit depressing.
Is it a week in 2 days?
It's a week. Today's the 18th.
Yeah, 8 and 7 does not make 13 like I was doing in my brain.
Yeah.
Sports talk.
All right, it's time
Just
for
add some extra commentary.
some
in
extra
there, you know what I
commentary.
mean?
They have no idea what it is, but that's okay. All right, time for some news around the world. It was the NFL wild card weekend this past
I don't
weekend.
think that score is right.
For what? Why is it a 4? I didn't put a 4 in there. I think it's 14. Yeah, it's 14.
I didn't put a score down for them. They didn't deserve a score.
Speaking of that score, Browns versus Texans. The Texans won 45-14. Which you remember my prediction from last week? It was close. I said Texans 24-17. So, almost.
Because you said numbers. I did say that they would score some points.
They were less than 100 points away. Joe Flacco went 34 of 46 for 307 yards.
307 rep.
Touchdown and 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six.
Yeah. Weren't they both pick six?
I think one of them wasn't because he was down as he caught it. I don't think they both were pick sixes. Maybe they both were. But I think one of them was. CJ Stroud went 16 of 21, pretty terrible, for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Pretty terrible, says an outrageous amount of yards and touchdowns.
For such a low attempt and complete.
He only didn't complete 5 passes. He had almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
He only completed 16 passes for 200, almost 300 yards. And
almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers.
What's crazy is both teams combined for 132 rushing yards.
Neither team has a running game.
Yeah, dumb.
Like Browns did, and then he destroyed his knee.
True. That's why I'm kind of not really like having a lot of faith in the Texans beating the Ravens. Just because if the Ravens shut down that pass game, then and Ravens defense can do it. So what'd you think of this game?
So fun fact, I didn't watch a single game this weekend.
Fake fan.
Yeah, because I'm not a fan of any of these teams. Browns, Texans. I did start watching. I watched the first bit, and then I was like, "Yeah, this is gross," and turned it off. Dolphins, Chiefs. I couldn't turn on, but it was also super boring to start. Yeah, it was the Peacock game, and it was super boring to start. So I was like, I don't care. Rams, Lions. I didn't care because I thought the Lions would win. Kind of wanted the Rams to win just because I like Matthew Stafford. That's his name, right? That didn't sound right coming out of my mouth.
Because no one ever says Matthew; they say Matt Stafford.
I don't know how many people say Matt. Steelers, Bills. I knew Bills would win, so I didn't. And I hate watching Pittsburgh games. I've said it before on this podcast. They're the world's most boring team to watch, no matter what they do. And then Eagles, Bucks. I mean, I knew Eagles were losing. Wish I watched it, but I knew the outcome, so I didn't watch a single game for more
Ooh,
than the first half.
sweet.
Stat wise, though, I mean,
We'll talk about that. Dolphins Chiefs. Chiefs win 26-7. I need to start like tracking how much they show Taylor Swift and just have that as a stat as well. Like,
that's another reason I didn't want to watch that game. I cannot handle that.
bro, it was a crazy game. Just like weather wise. I mean, there's a part where Patrick Mahomes was running. And first off, this is a big thing I beef with is when like running backs, anyone that's running the ball, when they're about to get hit, they just drop their helmet down to like protect themselves. Like
When
I
his
get,
helmet broke,
yeah, like I get you don't want to like just like look him in the eyes for a hit, but the fact that like defenders will get called for targeting anytime they attempt something small like that, but then a running back can just lower their helmet and like ram into someone is just insane to me. But yeah, Mahomes like dropped his helmet to like take a hit, and the dude hits him like right on the like forehead, and it just snapped a piece off because it was so cold that like it shattered it. And then he was saying in like the post game that the helmet they gave him wasn't heated up, so it was frozen on the inside. I was like, dog, that sounds
that'd be
terrible.
awful.
Yeah, so um, but I mean that's just more proof. Like everyone being like, what about player safety for this game? Parts of the helmet were literally shattering because it was so cold. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it didn't look like a fun game. Like watching it, the part that because I was able to tune in for like the first 10 minutes, I was like, this doesn't look fun, and it was so unproductive because it's -30 out there. I was like, I don't want to
Yeah, it
watch this
was.
game because it's not going to be a productive, like active game. It's going to be let's make it through these four quarters and win.
What's insane is it didn't have as big of effect on like passing as we thought it would.
That's
Rasheed
yeah.
Rasheed Rice had 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown.
He would have
Um,
carried the team. He had half the yards.
yeah, so I mean that's kind of, and then Tyreek had 65 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Um, which is funny because like if you saw like the video going around like Instagram, it was like the dude that was guarding Tyreek, and they're like he had him on lock because he jammed him on one play,
Yeah.
and Tyreek fell because the field was literal ice. And then you look at Tyreek Stacks, and it's like, where was he on lock for the rest of these catches and touchdown? Like,
Well, Tyreek reposted something on Twitter, and it was people talking about it, and he was like, "I destroyed two people on this play and got wide open in double coverage.
no
Like,
one was talked
no
about
one
it.
had me locked down,
Yeah, like it was one play, and
and he
there was like
slipped."
there was like one side of the field where the last like 20 yards were pure ice. They were talking about it in
Mhm.
like the pregame, and they were like they couldn't get this part thought out, so it's gonna be super dangerous in this area. And again, I was like, what about player safety? This is insane.
Player safety doesn't make them billions of dollars,
Yeah, but
idiot.
the Bills wanted to change theirs because they. So that's the funny thing is the Bills changed theirs not because of player safety, but because they couldn't clear the fan seats and they wanted fans to come in and pay for like stuff.
Well, I think the governor
The
of
governor said not to
was
do it.
like, fans can't make it there safely. Like
Yeah,
it's a fan safety hazard, and
which
at
is just
that
so
point, you're risking
wild.
thousands of lives rather than just a staff and
22.
team. That's not at all how many people are on a
The people
football
on the
team.
field though, on the field they can't get the heaters, they can't get the blankets, they can't get anything that keeps them warm. They're just out there
Right,
like
but
Tyreek
travel
Hill
to the
butt
thing. So they're
naked.
like, 100 people, whatever, but a couple thousand people we can't have.
No, that's fair because
But then
the
they also asked fans to come out and clear the field at 10 p.m. So I don't really understand.
I don't know, but Dolphins Chiefs was a wild game. I don't think the Chiefs showed resilience through the game for sure. And it's hard to like be like, oh, Mahomes only had 262 yards. I don't think but it's like he did this in a negative 30-degree game. That's impressive. So like, I don't think stats
It
wise
was, but at the same time, they're more used to play. I'm not saying they play in -30 all the
true,
time, but they are
and
more used to it,
the
so
Dolphins
they
don't
know
have
how
a
to like
great defense in general.
right, and they're so injured, like we were
Yeah,
talking about. They have like half the defense injured,
yeah.
but
So
they're
like,
one stat Tua's like 0-6 when it's below 40.
yeah,
It was
they
40 yesterday. I went outside in shorts and a shirt because it was finally above zero for the
yeah.
first time in a week. Like For us, for me at least, that's warm. I literally walked out and I was like, "Oh, it's nice out here." And I checked my phone; it was legit 41.
Yep. That was, yeah, yesterday's like 28. And I was like, this is
But
nice and
Tua
warm.
plays in it lower than 40, and he's like, can't breathe. Like it hurts.
Insane. Moving on. Rams versus Lions. The Lions barely scraped by with a
Yeah, it was a closer game than I
24-23.
thought.
We thought it was going to be a close game. Um,
I did think it was going to be close. I did
I
not
think
think
I
it was going to
literally
be
said it's
that
going to come
close.
down to the last possession. Like it's
I
going to
think
come
I
down
said
to
it was going to come down to the last
okay.
possession.
Stafford had a great game. I mean, 25 of 36 for 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Goff also had a decent game, 22-27 for 277 yards and 1 touchdown. It was really the run game that did everything. I mean, Montgomery and
Yeah,
Gibbs both got rushing touchdowns, and they were just running it up the field. Um, the the announcers were pointing out how both teams were setting the edge so well, like they could not get any outside runs on either side, which really hurt the Rams because the Rams are known for that jet sweep that they do, where they'll have like someone like Puka just come around and just take off on the edge.
yeah.
But because they couldn't get the edge, then that cancels out literally half of their playbook and half of what they normally get yardage for. So um, that hurt him. But I mean, Puka still had some insane catches. They'd go up,
I
and I'm
think he
like,
had 100 yards in the first half.
yeah, they'd
I
throw the
want to
ball up,
say
and I'd be like, I swear, if this camera pans and Puka's on the other end, I'm gonna cry. And it pans, and there's Puka with like 4 guys, and he just yoinks it out and then spins around a couple times. I'm like,
he
oh my
bunny
god,
hops over them. He's insane. If
it's
CJ Stroud wasn't having
disgusting.
the season that he's having, I would
Yeah,
say Puka for
100%.
offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah. So
Um, but no, this game I was really conflicted with because, like I said, I like Matt Stafford. That sounds way worse than saying Matthew. Um, I really like him, and I like the Rams team as a whole.
I was heartbroken when the Lions were booing him when he came on the field. I was like, what? What?
I don't understand because he went and won a Super Bowl without them. It's
It
like it
wasn't
wasn't
his
his
choice
fault
to
that your
leave.
team is trash. Um, but I'm conflicted because I really like the Rams team, and
Yep.
I don't like the Lions because they're in my division. But it
Fair.
is nice seeing the Lions have
Such a
the
cool.
run that they're having.
Yeah.
It's nice seeing all the fans come out of hiding and being like, "I've been a Lions fan, but I didn't want to say it because it's been embarrassing for the
So
last
many people
40
were
years."
crying at the game after they won. It was so cool to see. It's so
So
funny because
it's nice to see the Lions
I
win.
think they're on like the streak of like 9 straight playoff losses. They got this win, broke that streak. So now the Dolphins have the longest
Have the
active streak of like
longest.
7 or 8 or something. Which would have been hilarious because if the Dolphins had won, then it would have just gone to some team who wasn't even like, I think it was like the Steelers or something who were, so the Steelers could have won. So they could have all just like handed it down to like the Broncos or something. We're just like, wait, where's this coming from?
Just say F me for.
For real. So it's really cool to see the Lions get that. I was worried if they had to play the Cowboys. I'm still a little worried for them to play the Packers, but I
They're
think
not
Lions.
playing the Packers.
I thought they had the Packers game, or no, they have the Buccaneers game. Which even better. I mean, I was worried if it was the Eagles. Their conference was going to be tough. Whoever they had to come up against, and with the Eagles and Cowboys both out, it's going to be such a crazy
I thought for sure
conference
their
championship.
hardest comp would be Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that their second hardest would be the Bucks
It'll be a
because
good game.
49ers obviously are not. If it was Packers or, whoever they played, I was thinking
It's going
I
to
lost my
be
train of thought, but it's going to be tough for them.
this
it's
divisional
it's
round is going
not
to be
easy.
wild. Yeah,
I don't know who to pick for this
it's
divisional round. Like
especially with the way that the
Pick'ems is going to
Packers
be
split.
tough. I
It's
don't
going to be
know.
terrible. Steelers Bills. Bills won 31-17. Not too much there. I mean,
Like
Mason
you
Rudolph
said,
had
I
a
expected it.
somewhat decent game. 22 of 39 for 229 yards
He's
and two
not a bad
touchdowns and one
quarterback.
interception. He's not bad. Oh my gosh, dude, the Bills were forcing so many turnovers in this game. Let's see if I can find them. Legit, they'd get a touchdown, first play for like the Steelers, fumble, Bills recover. Like, okay, so 2 turnovers, a lot of turnovers, 2 turnovers. But they came at like very crucial parts of the game because I think it was like the Bills scored, and then the Steelers throw it, he catches it and fumbles it. They recover, and then they go and score right away on that next drive. And so like they were just pulling away from the Steelers
At
right away in
crucial
that game.
moments, just any point in the game. I love when you talk about things
It
because
was
it's so
before
funny.
halftime, and it was well. It's funny. So in this game too, the Steelers. I'm trying to think. No, the Bills had the ball, and it was like a minute left, maybe 30 seconds. Halftime was on its way. Bills ball, and Tony Romo and the other announcer, they're talking to like some analyst or something, and they're like, "What do you think the Steelers should do here? Should they use a timeout?" And the analyst was like, "Yeah, use a timeout because." So what happened was the Steelers had gone for, or the Bills had gone for a field goal. It gets blocked, bounces like 40 yards towards the Steelers, towards the other end zone.
Yeah,
Steelers are booking it down there. They can pick it up. They can score a huge play.
saw that
Um,
one.
he's booking it. The punter, who was the holder for the field goal, they had their punter holding. He's booking it downfield, and he's like about to like catch the dude. So like they're both going. He's about to catch the Steelers dude who's about to get the ball, and then you see like it looks like he got shot. He just like grabs his leg and starts like jumping up and down because
Did not see that part.
they think it looked like he tore his hamstring at first. Um, I think it was just like a minor sprain or something, but he was sprinting so hard and he's a punter, so his legs aren't used to it, that his hamstring just snapped. And they're like, oh, that's the punter. And then they're like, they might have just lost their punter for the rest of the game. And
That's
then they,
funny. When I was looking up like league updates, I'm pretty sure they signed a punter.
yeah, and then they talked to like the coach at halftime and they're like, what are you doing if like your punter's not here? And he's like, oh, we'll reevaluate. They're like, okay, but if he's hurt, like who's gonna do it? And he's like, well, we'll figure it out. Like, that's not, you're okay.
Just
Um,
won't punt. I mean,
but it came down to fourth down and like a little bit later into the third, and the punter came out and they're like, he's punting right now, and he boots it. And then you see him just grab his leg right afterwards. I was like, oh my gosh.
you're like, can you punt this ball?
So
And he was like,
anyways, they're asking the analysts. They're like, they don't have a punter, so if you call timeout and force them to go to fourth down and all this stuff, do they do it? And the analyst's like, yeah, the Steelers should use their timeouts here, force them to fourth down, maybe they can get a. And then Tony Romo was like, yeah, I'm gonna disagree. If you call a timeout, Josh Allen's throwing a 60-yard touchdown pass. Don't do that. Just let the clock go out. Don't let them score again.
yeah, I'm gonna disagree. He can throw the ball, and you're
I know.
giving him a stoppage.
I was like, don't give them any more time to score again. Like you're going into the half down by like a couple touchdowns. Don't make it any worse than it needs to be. But
That's so funny.
um, so yeah, it was an okay game. There's some funny moments. There's some insane moments where you're just Josh Allen had
Josh
like a
Allen had 4
60-yard
touchdowns.
touchdown run. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was disgusting. Like, yeah, good game for the
saw that
Bills.
one. That's the thing is like, even if you don't watch the games, you'll get the highlight reel on like Instagram and stuff. So
The good
I've
parts,
seen
yeah,
all the key moments, like
yeah.
even like the turnovers and stuff, and I didn't have to sit there for all the boring stuff.
There you go. Eagles Buccaneers. Buccaneers win
I thought you said
32
the
to
F
9.
word.
Eagles Buccaneers. Buccaneers win 32 to 9.
All good.
Um, I believe they got a safety too at one point. I think I got an alert. I didn't watch this one. This is like the one I didn't watch. But I believe they got a safe.
Wow.
Big fan.
Call me a
Um,
fake fan.
Jalen Hurts 25-35 for 250 yards and a touchdown.
That's 10 yards per completion.
Yeah, which is pretty solid. It's a first down every time he throws the ball. Um,
That's disgusting.
Baker, he's him. Mayfield went 22 of 36 for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns.
His is over 10 yards per completion.
The first Buccaneers quarterback to do that in the postseason, counting Tom Brady's Super Bowl run season.
The thing I saw was and 0 interceptions.
Oh, so I mean that could be the
So
big
Tom
factor.
Brady might have had 3 plus and 3 touchdowns, but he
Through
could
one
have had
pick.
an interception.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, I saw the stat line, but then it was
I
like,
was like, "There's no way
and
Tom
0
Brady never did that."
interceptions.
So I wonder if the interception did it then. Yeah, dude, Baker Mayfield had. I saw this one post and it was like Baker Mayfield is who we hoped Johnny Manziel was going to be.
Yeah,
I
I
was like, that's
saw
so
that
true.
one.
Like the two of them had very similar play styles. The difference is Baker
Both
Mayfield was not
Heisman
problematic.
winners.
Yeah,
Or Johnny Manziel won Heisman,
Yeah, he's that.
and they were both the first round pick in the
Mhm.
next draft. So,
Um, did they both play for the Browns?
yep,
Yeah.
both
Um,
drafted by the Browns, first round,
the
first
big
overall.
difference is Baker just wasn't problematic and didn't have an attitude and actually watched game
I
footage. Remember the
love
whole thing,
Baker.
Johnny Manziel was like, I never watched game, but you're the quarterback. What do you mean you don't watch game footage?
Especially after watching that quarterback series on Netflix, and the good ones are like always studying and always
Yeah,
working, and Johnny Manziel was like, I sit in the hot tub a lot and
so
watch gambling
funny.
videos. It's like, dude,
Um,
what?
I love Baker and I love him more and more the more he just shows off how good of a quarterback he is. This is the same man who
I
came
loved him
in,
before. He showed off he was a good quarterback.
but this same man who came into the Rams, learned their like 3 plays in their playbook, and then beat a team 2 days later. Like,
It was the Raiders, I'm pretty sure, with that backup or whatever. But I
but
mean, and nonetheless, it was insane.
yeah,
I've always loved Baker, even before he was like insanely cracked. I love that meme of him with his mustache on, and he just looks like he's been up for days.
yeah,
I've loved his commercials. Like Baker
yep.
just seems like a guy that
He
I would
seems
hang
down
out
to
with all
earth.
the time.
It'd be so crazy if they get the Super Bowl and put the Brady Buccaneers era behind them as Baker's here to take over. Like, yeah. Um, and then Jason Kelsey did say in the locker room to his teammates that that was his last game and he's retiring. He has come out since then saying that there was a lot of emotion in the locker room and he needs more time to decide.
I could
So
see him retiring. I mean, he's already
yeah.
done so much.
Well, and he was
Um,
saying how the tush push they do is like a lot of pain on like his knees and stuff. Like it's very hard for him to do. Um,
why?
they,
Isn't he just getting laid on?
I mean, it could just be that they're forcing him in all these linemen and using him as a battering ram, basically. I don't know. I just saw a thing where he like it hurts when he does it a lot. So
He's
lineman long,
been in so long and he's so
yeah,
big. Like,
lineman longevity is
yeah,
not that long in the NFL.
no.
So it sucked to
He's
see,
done
but
good. He's had a good run. I think
he got a
he
Super
should
Bowl.
take his time.
Yeah.
I saw one thing that was like he was so close to getting a ring. I was like, you guys know that he has a ring,
He's been there
right?
for about 40 years, right?
The
Like,
Eagles aren't new. Like he was on the team that beat Tom Brady.
yeah, that's so funny. It feels like the Eagles are new though because the Jalen Hurts Eagles are
Yeah.
like the Jalen Hurts Eagles are the most relevant Eagles team I feel like we've had in decades.
Right, like they won the Super Bowl. They definitely took a step up when Jalen Hurts got there, but
Mhm.
like they were decent before Jalen Hurts got there.
Michael Vick was on the Eagles, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know how long he was on the
I don't know
Eagles.
what he did while there, but I mean they had
Because he was
Michael
on Eagles,
Falcons, right?
Falcons,
He's a
and
couple bird teams,
Ravens.
all bird teams.
I think he was a Raven.
So the Eagles' run is over after starting 10-1.
Yeah.
And time though for the Cowboys disappointment tracker. And as we predicted, it was the first round of the playoffs.
Ooh. I love
Cowboys
being right.
Cowboys lost to the Packers 48-32. Jordan Love, here's the insane part. Jordan Love, 16 to 21. CJ Stroud went 16 to 21. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns. CJ Stroud threw 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love threw for 272 yards.
Yep.
CJ Stroud, 274 yards. There's a 2 yard difference. Every other stat was the same. I don't know about rushing, but every other stat was the same
Every
for
other stat for throwing that we just said out loud.
for both of these rookie quarterbacks in their first playoff performance. That's
Well, one of them's a rookie.
I thought Jordan. I guess Jordan Love's not a rookie. I always feel like he is because feels like his first like year with the Packers,
It's
but
his
it's
first
for
starting season, yeah.
yeah. Was that his first playoff game though? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
So cool.
First start in the playoffs for both
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
Um,
Both zero interceptions. So.
interceptions. Yeah. This one's disgusting. Dak Prescott went 41 of 60. I do not think your quarterback is the problem if you're making him throw 60 times. If you have to
He's
throw
only not
6,
completing 19 of them.
yeah, if you're only throwing at the end of the game, Dak was like, "Yeah, that game's on me. I was trash. I wasn't playing my best." They made you throw 60 times. That is not your fault, especially if you have that completion percentage and go 403 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but, like, if I throw the ball 60 times, I guarantee at least 2 of those are getting intercepted.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I
the
mean,
probability is gonna keep going up, but unless you're, like, just throwing, like, dump passes, like, 2 yards away from you and that's all you're doing, but there's a good chance if you're throwing 60 yards, you're getting at least 1 interception. Um,
and he got two. So
he did have 11 interceptions to end the season, 9 in the regular season, so he kept under his 10 count, but it is hilarious that this man said, "All right, I did it, under 10. Interception, interception." It was like he
skipping
was
him out in
it
that
was like he was like
game.
he was like shaking in that like last regular season game,
I have
trying
to
not to
throw an
throw too
interception.
many. And then the second they get to the playoffs, he's like, "Oh," and starts throwing them to the other team.
Where's someone in a different jersey? I need them. I need them now.
So the Cowboys have been knocked out. Um, I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. Not really.
I'm
Um,
not. I called
you
it.
should
It
have
was first
expected it.
round,
It was
so
coming. So, I do have a hot take for Dak Prescott. Someone on Twitter said that he should be MVP. We'll get to that later, but yeah. So keep that in mind as we keep going. Um, but moving on, we got some league changes in the NFL. This one's kind of your section. You did all the beautiful work on this. You want to talk about it?
I did do all the beautiful work on this. I spent a lot of time doing
I can
this,
tell it's very well
mainly
organized.
because I had to type a lot and go back between pages. So, Panthers are set to. I did this yesterday. This is also coming out of, or we're recording this before it comes out. It might have done it already, but at the time of recording, Panthers are set to interview the Cowboys defensive coordinator for their head coaching position. And are also, or they did interview the Rams defensive coordinator for head coach. So
So they're not going
already
with
looking for a head coach.
the announcer.
Oh, as I mean, they could. He's not. No one is signed yet, but he's not on their interview list. So maybe that's back pocket if these interviews don't go anywhere. This one um, is the reason I even made the entire league. I'm not even kidding. When I saw that, I was like, I want to talk about it. But if I'm going to talk about that, I might as well talk about
Oh
all of the
my
league changes.
gosh.
The Bears are to interview for the Panthers offensive coordinator. For the Bears offensive coordinator. Let me say that one more time in case you're misinterpreting it. The Panthers offensive coordinator is being interviewed by the Bears
Yeah.
to become the Bears offensive coordinator because we just fired ours. The Bears, while they weren't amazing in the season, in the regular season, because we didn't make the playoffs, had better stats than the Panthers by quite a bit. We only had one more offensive play. It was like 1,096, and the Bears had 1,097. Only one more offensive play, 800 more total yards,
Gosh.
50 more yards a game, over 10 more touchdowns.
Yeah, the Panthers didn't score at all this season.
I don't know why the Bears looked out at all 31 teams that had, coaches and assistants and whatever, and they're like, we should probably pick up the Panthers offensive coordinator that led the worst offense this season.
Imagine they're just like, you guys gave us a first pick, so I guess we'll give your offense coordinator a chance.
We'll take him off your hands so you guys can win more games next season and we won't.
What if that was a part
Um,
of the original deal that no one talked about?
but yeah, I
That's
am
crazy.
hoping to be optimistic in the situation. I'm hoping that means we get more throwing opportunities in
Yeah.
the season to come because the Panthers did throw it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that means that it was just an interview. It's not for sure yet, but if we do hire him as our OC, I'm hoping that means there are more pass opportunities for Justin Fields.
I will say, I mean, like, it does look like the Panthers OC was working well with Bryce Young, and giving Bryce Young plenty of chances to do what he did well in college.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, they're passing quite a bit, and so hopefully he can bring that attitude here and be like, "All right, Justin, like let's look at what you're good at, and let's build our whole playbook around that." And so,
I also didn't see the Panthers run up the middle, screen pass, and then punt it. So
right,
I'm hoping
it could
we.
be a good change. It could be a great change. Who knows?
It could be.
Any change is going to be good for the
I'm
Bears.
just saying.
It is hilarious.
When I saw that they were interviewing the worst offensive coordinator, maybe not the worst offensive coordinator, but an
The
offensive
team who
coordinator
did,
that led the
yeah,
worst offense, I was shooketh, and I had to make an entire chart for it. The Browns fired their running back coach, did not re-sign their tight end coach, and they are reevaluating their entire offensive room.
they're crazy.
So, last I
They
read,
fired their running back coach like it was his fault. Their running back got hurt.
right, and like yeah, so but their entire offensive room is being evaluated, so we could see more firings from them in the near future. The Chargers are to interview the Cowboys defensive coordinator for their head
Dang,
coach position. They are also they have interviewed the Saints vice president and assistant general manager for their general manager
forgot they
position.
fired their GM.
And they are interviewing Mike Vrabel, former Titans head coach, for their head coach.
I was trying to remember
So,
if Vrabel came from. Yeah, Titans were
this
decent. You just need someone who can take advantage of the weapons the Chargers have. Like
well, Mike Vrabel, who the Titans fired instead of trying to trade him because they were like, no, that'll take too long to trade
that's
him.
right.
And I was like, why are you trying to get rid of him so fast? It's not like you have playoffs to get through or something. Like,
That is
um,
wild.
so yeah, that's coming from the Titans team. So it could have just been the entire upper management, not him at all.
Just didn't like him, man.
Saints request interview with the Bengals quarterback coach for their offensive coordinator. So they
That's
must
cool.
like what the Bengals are doing at the QB position because that's crazy that they
That's a
looked at the
big jump.
quarterback coach and were like, we want you to do the entire offense. And they also interviewed the Seahawks offensive coordinator for their offensive coordinator.
Crazy that the Seahawks lose their head coach and OC.
Yeah. The Seahawks interview the Cowboys defensive
Woo!
coordinator for head coach, and they are also looking to interview the Giants offensive coordinator for head coach.
Poor Dan Quinn. This is stressful.
Titans to interview Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn for head
Goodness.
coach.
It's a four
Um,
teams.
Dan Quinn is getting looked at quite a bit. I did see the Cowboys said if he does not take a head coach position, they are likely to keep him for defensive coordinator. So
I
at
hope
this
so.
point, it's kind of looking like if he doesn't get one of the four, as of now, four head coaching positions, he'll still be on the Cowboys as DC, which I feel like is fine because
He
their
had a good
defense
defense, yeah.
was strong until they played the Packers.
Who do you? Yeah, if I'm him, I'm taking Seahawks on that. If I get all four teams offer, I think I'm taking Seahawks. They got a decent program. If you bring in your DC like mindset to build up that defense, and then if they do get the Giants, I guess that's Giants OC for head coach.
Yeah, pretty much all of them are looking at multiple for head coaches. I
But
saw something that said Seahawks would be the best fit because he was on that, I think 2015.
when they won the Super Bowl or when they made a run,
Yeah, whatever year they won the Super Bowl, I thought it was the 2015 Super Bowl. He was the DC for that, so
pretty cool.
they like him. He already has, the recognition there. Seahawks feels most likely to me.
Yeah, I think
The
that'd be a good fit.
Falcons have interviewed Bill Belichick for the second time. So he's already had two interviews, and they did interview Jim Harbaugh, which I didn't even hear about when I was looking this up, and I updated this morning. So that's crazy that
Yeah, it just happened like
I
a
didn't see
day or two
anything.
ago.
But I did see Falcons have good chemistry with Bill Belichick. Maybe because he, came back from the 28-3 deficit. I don't know if what that is. And then Patriots hired a new head coach, no interviews, no nothing. They just hired a new head coach, Jared Mayo. I want to say he was there.
Linebackers coach
Yes. So yeah, that's the league changes as of now. That's
so
who's
far.
being looked at for head coach.
We're a week in the postseason.
Yeah, this will obviously, update probably daily, but
Dang. Well, good reporting. Well done. I'm
thanks.
proud. Sweet. Let's wrap up some news around the world. Champions League round of 16 starts February 13th. Still don't have anything for you guys. For a second, I was like, wait, was it January 13th? Did games just happen earlier this week? And I was like, no, it's February. So the day before Valentine's Day. There you go.
There you go.
NBA in the West, Timberwolves lead at 28-11 with the Thunder behind at 27-13. Like I said earlier, the Nuggets are third in the West, so not too far
Why
behind.
do
2 games
Nuggets
behind
have more losses
because of the
in game or in
in-game
season tourney?
in-season tournament. Yep.
'Cause,
Yep.
yeah, they have the same amount of wins, but 3 more losses, and that's the only
Yep.
reason they're not first.
Yeah, because they have an extra loss from the tournament, and then I'm guessing they've played 2 more games since the Timberwolves so far. Um, the NBA is weird like that, and the tournament's going to make
I
it
hate
even
it.
more messy. Lakers are still sitting at 10th at 20-21. I saw a thing. I don't know. It had to be like a couple games back, but at that point in the season for this season, the Lakers had the exact same record
20 and
as
21
last
last
season.
season, yeah, I
Um,
did see that.
so they're not off to a good start. In the East, the Celtics are still sitting on top at 31 and
That's
9.
disgusting.
That's insane. Bucks right behind at 20-12, and I will shout out Damian Lillard. He hit a buzzer beater to win the Bucks a game earlier this week. And they did the Dame time thing all over again. They're all celebrating Dame time, and then I think it was like Thanasis or Giannis's younger brother. I think it's like
Yeah.
Thanasis. They're all doing Dame time, and then he's over on the side going like this because he didn't know what was happening. So, like, bro, is he trying to fight one of the reporters? So Damian looks like he's making a great fit at the Bucks, and I'm happy for him. For hockey, the Bruins are still sitting on top at 26-8-9, and the Rangers are leading their division at 28-13-2. The Jets are 29-10-4, and the Canucks are 29-11-4 for their division, so they're holding those positions. But the Avs are second in their division at 29-13-3.
Listen,
Believe they're
okay?
behind the Jets.
I've been paying attention to their games. I told you about this the other day. Every single game, they start off down by 2, and I'm like, "Oh, this is it. Like, they're just gonna lose." The other day, they started the other team at 2, they had nothing. Second period, it was like 4-2. Avs are down by 2. And then I check in at the end of the game. Avs had won 7-4. They won on a 5-0 streak in just the third. Like,
See.
then that was like the third time that week. I don't even know what the Avs are doing. They're holding it close, so I mean they're still winning games. I just wish they didn't give me little heart attacks to start every single game.
Yeah, for real. They're an interesting team. Now it's time for some next week in sports with an S
You're up.
because last week, if you guys remember, I just did sport because I didn't know what else to talk about. But we got some good NBA games coming up. So you want to talk about the divisional round? And I'll get the NBA games.
Texans versus Ravens.
That'll be a good
That's
matchup.
a football game. Packers versus 49ers is
Oh
also a
wow, we're not
football
talking
game.
about them at all. Okay. Did you want to talk?
Texans versus
Okay.
Ravens will be a football game that will be played, and it will be a good one.
It's funny because every time I come to this game, I keep going like, "Oh, it's the young quarterback versus the old quarterback," and then I'm like, well, "Lamar Jackson's only like in the league for like 4 or 5 years at this point."
Yeah, every quarterback in the NFC, I think, is under like 20
They're all
or
like
AFC.
they're all super young.
One of them, they're all like under 28 or something.
Yeah, but for some reason, my mind just keeps because CJ Stroud is a rookie, and because I've heard of Lamar for so long, counting college, my mind just keeps
Yeah.
going down to like, oh, the veteran versus the rookie, and I'm like, wait, no, Lamar's still like is it his early years?
It's like his 4th or 5th year, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I'm really hoping it'll be a good
Is
game.
it his 6th year? Might be
I
his
thought it was
6th year.
fifth, maybe it's sixth. Him and Burrow came in at the same time, didn't they? Or they were the same class, I thought.
I would think Mahomes and Lamar are the same draft class.
1992. Oh, that's his birthday. Uh, 2018 was his draft year, so This is his fifth, sixth year. The final first round pick.
Fifth.
That's crazy. Which is insane because for Louisville, he was doing insane stuff on Louisville. Yeah, Texas Ravens, that'd be a good game.
Packers 49ers will also be a football game that will be played on a football field.
Do you think the Packers could pull this off?
I think if they pull this off, they might win the Super Bowl, and that's gross because I don't want to see that in my lifetime.
The same season that Aaron Rodgers destroys his Achilles trying to lead the Jets to a Super Bowl, Jordan Love just makes him irrelevant.
Shows him that he was just old. No, I think it'll be a good game, but like I said, if Packers win, then I think they have a chance of winning the Super Bowl, especially because it's in San Fran.
And San Fran, yeah.
Bucks Lions, I think that will be a good game. I honestly don't know who I have as a pick on that one. It's such a tough one. Chiefs Bills though, that's going to be an insane one. First Patrick
Patrick
Mahomes
Mahomes,
not home playoff game.
just disgusting.
Besides,
Like
Super Bowls that are
Bowls.
typically not at home, but I honestly think Bills have this one.
Yeah,
I was gonna save my picks for the pick'ems, but I genuinely think
I
Bills
think
have this one.
Bills take it. I saw one thing that'd be funny where it was like, what if it goes to overtime? The Bills score first, and because they complain about the rules, the Chiefs score and get the 2 point. And I'm like, that would be poetic, but um, I think the Bills win. I think also like the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier this season, and it wasn't because like the refs rigged that game.
Sure.
Yeah, the Bills won that game because
I thought
it
the
was
Chiefs won that game.
no, because it was the one where Kelsey caught it and lateraled it to like Tony or whatever, and Tony
That's
scored.
that's what
But
I
he
was
was
thinking of. I was thinking
offside,
of
so they brought
Tony
it back.
offsides by 15 yards. Yeah.
Yep. Which again, that was the right call. Like he was offsides. You got to call that. And people were like, "Oh, they blow the play dead." They typically don't blow it dead. They just throw the flat. I guess sometimes they do. It depends. It depends on the ref, really.
They typically blow it dead if it's a false
if it's a
start, not an
false start. But
offside.
offsides, they let it go and see what happens. Because
Yeah.
if you let it go and the defense intercepts it and returns it, then they can decline the offsides or whatever.
Yeah, but a false start gives them an unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm.
A more
So
unfair advantage because they have the momentum.
Bills. Not only did the Bills do that, the Bills I feel like have been playing at the best they've been playing all season. Right now,
Like you said earlier, they ramped up for the
so
playoffs. Like,
it'll be interesting. Buffalo fans are brutal, and so that's a big disadvantage for the
they've
Chiefs.
been
They were throwing
sacrificing themselves to the pit, so
the
I mean they're gonna
Bills
win.
fans. Bills fans were throwing snowballs at the Steelers anytime they were trying to catch a ball. It was insane. I think
Anytime
the
the
were like,
Bills scored, they would have a snowball fight in the
yeah.
stands.
So it'll be a good game. I'm excited.
Bills have the wildest fan base in the world.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Yeah, like I said, Buccaneers Lions will be interesting. It'll be a good divisional weekend. NBA, we got some fun games coming up, dude. We got Nuggets Celtics Friday the 19th.
This will just test what we were talking about. If the Nuggets
Yep.
can pull this out and like have an actual good game,
Yep.
I think that shows how they are like ready for playoffs. Obviously, we're only halfway through
So far
some
away
40
still, but
games, but like playing the top team right now will
good
really
testing
show
point.
them like what they need to work on.
Yeah. Thunder Timberwolves Saturday the 20th. Another big game. These are the top two teams in the West. Thunder might be able to take the first place spot if they get this.
I'm putting all my money on the Thunder.
Yeah, so I think that'd be a fun matchup. And then another one that could be good: Celtics versus Mavericks on the 22nd. Mavericks are always fun to watch. I think they could give the Celtics a run for their money. Could be a good upset. And then Lakers Clippers Battle of LA on the 23rd. It's not as exciting of a game as it would be like a couple years ago, but it's still a big rivalry, and yeah, it's always fun to watch these two teams play. So
I hope the Lakers lose.
moving
That's the
on.
day our bracket comes out for our tournament that we're playing.
Shout out to Rocket League tournaments.
We'll let you guys. We'll
We'll
keep you guys
updated. We lost. It's a sport. It's an e-sport. We can include it in the
That's
podcast.
why I was going to include it. Our tournament's the 25th, so we'll keep you updated.
All right. Time for some hot takes.
Hot cakes.
This one comes straight from RG3 on Twitter. It was 2 days ago before they said he'd be staying. But But RG3 said that the Cowboys should not only fire Mike McCarthy, but that they should hire Deion Sanders to replace him as head coach.
That's so funny because I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard, and I not typically agree with RG3, but he usually says things where I'm like,
He says some out of
okay.
pocket stuff, and you're like, okay, he might be cooking.
He says things where I'm like, I could see it. I don't see this at all. I could kind of see firing Mike McCarthy a little bit, not like Cowboys fans are talking about because they want him like dead, but like I could see the argument for firing him. I do not see the argument for hiring Coach Prime. I don't think
There's
anyone saw what
no,
he did at Colorado when
yeah,
that happened. It's like they saw the first 3 games and like that's all I need to see. He's the greatest of all time,
we
and then
beat TCU.
never saw anything after that. So no, that is an awful take. Awful, awful. It's like lava hot because it's just so
Oh,
bad.
so bad. I think people keep forgetting that Dion did do good at, was it Jacksonville State? Where he was before
I
Colorado?
think so. Yeah, I think so.
Um, Wherever he was, he did good at a D2 school. Like,
Was it D2? I thought it was D3.
it might have been D3, but he did good in like a lower level. The second he got up to like D1 and started playing like elite college teams,
Actual teams.
and people could be like, "Oh, but Colorado's players weren't really there yet. They're Colorado
He
players. They didn't
brought
have."
his
He
whole
brought like half his whole team over.
he brought his own dudes.
Yeah, so it's not even like it was like, oh, he did what he could with the team he had. He legit got in there, and day one he said, "All right, everyone hit the transfer portal. We're starting over." He built a whole team and thought he could do it. And yeah, they beat like some good teams, but they also got blown out by better teams. So I don't know, man. Maybe he's got the mentality. I just don't see him having that like NFL mentality is way different, right?
Yeah.
You can't be as flashy as he is. It's no longer about like the swag and the flash and showing off and stuff. It's about how good is your team. The 49ers have been dominating teams and they've done nothing to be like, yeah, we dumb boys, like, we're the squad and stuff. Brock Purdy shares an apartment with someone in
He
like San
shares rent with
Francisco.
someone because he makes like $300,000 on his
So it's like you
contract.
can't come into the NFL with the mindset that he's had in college of being like, I'm I think he has this mindset of like the coach is like the father of the team, raising up these people, like, and that's kind of what it is in high school for sure, in college definitely, right? But then you get to NFL, and it's like these dudes are like 10 years younger than you, 20 years younger than you. They're not going to answer to you because you are flashy or because you're Deion Sanders, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't just come into a program and be like,
They're like, "Oh
I'm a
wow, star
celebrity.
stuff." Like they're
Yeah,
like, "No, you're just a guy at this point." Like,
yeah. So maybe eventually, but current Dion could not do it. I don't think. But this one's already being proven. I think. Someone on Twitter said that Josh Allen is saving his best for the playoffs, and yeah, round one was the Steelers, but I mean,
he had a 4 touchdown game
great
against the
game.
Steelers in super cold, snowy conditions. So
Yeah, and that's better than anything he's done all season.
I love that man.
Yeah. So, do you think we see a Josh Allen Super Bowl run this year?
I honestly was thinking that we do because who do they play this week?
Chiefs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we just talked about that. Chiefs at home. I was like, I can see that being honestly a kind of easy win. They're at home. They have the
Chiefs have
pick that's
struggled
being sacrificed.
offensively.
Um, he's playing great football. Like they win that, and then the next week
Would it be the
would
Ravens?
be the
Probably.
winner of Ravens Texans,
If it's Ravens, that's a tough game. If it's Texans, I think they take it.
which is crazy because if it's Texans, that means they beat the Ravens, which means that they're better.
True. I just think it'd be
Um,
hilarious if they get a Super Bowl after Stephon Diggs' brother was like, "You need to get out of there, quit the team," and then they go on a Super Bowl run.
yeah, I could see it honestly. I don't think it's too insane to say, and I don't think it's a hot take that he's saving his best for playoffs because it's being proven.
I mean, dude, shoot, if it's a great strategy. If it's like, cool, we'll get to a good spot in the playoffs. I'll coast by in the regular season, and then just turn it on, give it my best right there. Right? If you save everything for that, for the games that finally do matter, not to say like those first 17 games don't, but it's like you can coast if you have a good enough team, you could coast through the regular season.
Yeah,
The Chiefs coasted through the regular season and still got a playoff spot. Like
yeah.
so I mean you could do that and then here you are.
The Bears coasted a bit too much, but
The Bears coasted the Bears forgot to start and then went really hard and then coasted. It was like the kind of thing where they're like, it was a race, and rather than just being like, all right, I'm just gonna stay middle of the pack, just coast through the whole time. They forgot to turn the car on, and then by the time they did, they had to catch up, and then they started coasting too soon, and they're at the back of the pack at that point. So, um,
yeah, that
it's hard.
explained it perfectly. So
Thank you. I'm pretty good at metaphors. Next one, Jordan Love is the franchise quarterback for the Packers. All right, moving
all right,
on.
next one.
That's just insane that they go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love.
What's disgusting is all the clips of Jordan
Brett
Love
Favre and
playing,
Jordan Love.
and he looks exactly like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Like
I think it just
he
shows.
legit looks the exact same. I'm like, how? It's different coaching for all these decades. Like,
I just think it just shows how important it is to have your next up learning under that starting quarterback so close. I mean, if you looked
yeah,
at watched the Jets Hard Knock preseason, how much of it was Aaron Rodgers mentoring Zach Wilson and being like, "Watch what I'm doing, shadow what I'm doing, learn from what I'm
now Zach
doing."
Wilson's not on the team, so
That's the hard part. But like, if you do that though for like what Rodgers waited 3 years before he started. So if you those that quarterback's first 3 years, if the quarterback's first 3 years are to just sit and learn and grow under that like that veteran quarterback, then by the
and you can
time
get one Super Bowl and then go to the Jets and destroy your career.
and
I
then end
think
up with
Brett
the
Favre also
Vikings,
did
and then
that.
end up with the Vikings.
I think Brett Favre had one Super Bowl, went to the Jets, and then went to the Vikings.
Jordan Love, we were watching your
Jordan
career
Love will
intently.
get a Super Bowl, but he will also be a Jet in the next 10 to 15 years.
If that happens, it's a simulation. I
Simulation.
don't know, like yeah, insane.
That's crazy.
All right.
For the ceiling.
We'll pair these last two together because they kind of go together. But probably the hottest take that
They don't,
we've
but
they do.
because they both mentioned Dak.
Yeah. The hottest take that we've probably had on this show, minus maybe the Coach Prime one. Dak Prescott for MVP.
Yeah, that's awful. Don't ever say that again. There's so many people that deserve it before Dak Prescott does.
I saw someone on Twitter said this, and
Oh, so
because
there's D
what
Ryan.
happened was who was it? It was an NFL player, and he was like, "Give me your guys' hot takes. I want to like see them." And then they did this, and the player did like the eye emoji. I think it was him not wanting to, because I think it's an active player. I can't remember who it is for the life of me, but I think it was him being like, I don't want to just like outright say Dak Prescott is trash and he doesn't deserve it,
I know
but I
what you're
am
talking
gonna. Did you see?
about.
Yeah, I am gonna be like, oh, that's a take.
Yeah, that's awful. I can name at least 3 people that deserve it more than
Justin
Dak
Fields, one of
Prescott.
them. That's our other point.
He is. But also Christian McCaffrey,
Oh yeah,
Tyreek Hill,
oh yeah.
um,
Tua Tagovailoa, Tua,
no, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson for sure. Brock Purdy.
No, I've always been on the no Brock Purdy MVP
You have
because
always
he
been.
doesn't do anything.
When you pointed out to me that Brock Purdy throws a 2 yard pass that turns into 80 yards, I was like, okay, that's
Literally watch his highlights. I would say 90% of them are a screen pass that went
oh
for
yeah,
an 80-yard touchdown. He does have a few where it's
he has a
like
few good
deep
passes.
downfield, he thread the needle, but 90% of them are a screen pass that went for a 50-yard touchdown, and that's his highlight reel. Um, so yeah, definitely not Dak or Brock Purdy.
I think Dak should be in the conversation just because he did throw less than 10 interceptions this season.
Because
That's
he called his shot.
big growth for him. um, no, that is insane to look at. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just said this because he did just have like a 400-yard game, but it's like he did nothing else all season. Like that'd be
I hope
like
he has a
that'd be like
400-yard
being
game with
like
60 attempts.
that'd be like being like Andrew Peasley for Heisman because he won all his home games. like Cool. Didn't really do anything, but
Oh, so they're in the championships? No. Oh, but they're close? No.
no, they won all those home games though, and one away game and a bowl game. So, yeah, it's a
They
crazy
might be
take.
the
Do
next, I don't
you
know.
do you think Justin Fields is better than Dak Prescott though? I'd say they have about the same weapons,
I don't
receivers,
know.
running back
I
wise.
can't I genuinely don't feel I can judge anything from Justin Fields. I love him. I think he's
I feel like he's not at his
great. I think
potential.
he has the potential to do a lot,
Hmm.
but all the seasons we've watched him, he hasn't had a coach or wide receivers or a
Yeah,
line. Like Dak has always had the weapons, always had the coaching, always had the line. He's always had stuff and just wasn't able to make things work. Justin Fields has never had anything and is expected to make things work.
yeah.
I genuinely don't think I can judge Justin
Judge, yeah,
Fields and compare him with other quarterbacks when I haven't actually seen him be put to good use
for sure.
because he's never been able to do anything.
Yeah, I think that they're very similar in the sense that they've had similar weapons and stuff. I just feel like the
They're
Bears
both
have never.
quarterbacks.
I feel like they play the same position. Um, I just think that like the Bears have never used Justin Fields or let Justin Fields do what he wants. And some might say like, oh, he needs to listen to his coaches. Like they think they know what's best for him. But I think that no, they're not utilizing Justin Fields to his full talent, and so
How's
it's
he
hard.
supposed to do his whole talent when we're running up the middle two plays,
Right.
screen passing it when everyone knows it's a screen pass, and then
So
we're punting it away?
it's hard to say if Justin Fields is truly better because we haven't. I don't think we've seen Justin Fields at his best because they don't let him play at his best. So
What's crazy is the times that the playbook did switch up when we would have those games where we'd score 4 touchdowns in the first half. It was because the playbook was different and we were throwing downfield. Justin Fields are great.
yeah,
In those games where that happened, Justin Fields looked like a good quarterback, but then we weren't able to fully see it because second half of the game we went back to run, screen, punt it. Like
yeah. So who knows? Hopefully, we'll see that with the new offense coordinator.